Brought to you by Knights of Awakening. This is the Labyrinth. Okay, today's episode is going to be looking at the practicality of this curse, not really curse, binding that's going to be done on President Trump by the collected assemblage of various witches, wizards, warlocks, and spellcasters on the internet. This is not going to be a very political post, so that you understand I'm not going to give a political opinion. This is going to be looking at the practicality of this work. I am going to give you my thoughts on the nature of the work really quick. You know I don't subscribe to dogma. I curse at will. Just generally my will is benevolent, so therefore I still maintain the title of knightly. But I'm not above punching people in the nose either when they deserve it. And I see a curse that's very similar. And in a binding, what we've got to look at is that this is a binding to prevent doing harm. And that's the very first thing we have to consider. This is not a curse. Okay, if this was a curse, I'd be getting up there and I'd be like, really, people? This is how we're going to solve this? This is our wizardry? Rather than, casting a massive wave of dissatisfaction across the country and having them rise up and remove him directly, we're going to curse the man to death because we're that weak and ineffective. That would be my response if this was a curse. It's not a curse. It's a binding. Bind him from doing harm. And binding means a lot of different things depending on who's using the word. Binding can mean to draw a being in that wishes to be drawn in, that is willing to work with you and make a strong connection to it so that it's easier to reach and work with it over time. It can mean trapping a being, which is a big miscommunication in a lot of communities between those two terms. And it can mean redirecting a being's forces and influences to prevent it from doing certain things, like binding it from doing harm. Isn't it lovely what we've done with the English language to make this one word do so much? Anyway, we're gonna bind him from doing harm. We're gonna look at the practical of this. And this may be a little political, okay? I'm not gonna get into my political affiliations on this. I voted for Thor. I lost, Thor didn't get in, obviously. But looking at this, from his supporter standpoint, I don't see what the big deal is, because I would want him prevented from doing harm to the world, to me, to the United States, to whatever. His supporters should be in favor of this. As funny as that's going to sound, of all people, they should be like, yeah, that's a good. Every president should have this binding on them. Why have we not been doing this sooner? From a political standpoint, that's the only political thing I can say. His supporters shouldn't really even be too worried. It's a binding, not a curse. From his detractors, if you're doing this to prevent him from doing more harm, then you're probably on the lesser scale against him and not on the greater scale. And that is what it is. But you're not shooting for bear with this action. That's for sure. Now let's look at the practical. Mass spell casting. That's where you have all these people aiming at it. Well, we have a couple good and a couple bad things on this. Mass empowerment of a sigil or a work, an egregor, a servitor, anything like that. It's very useful. I'm not going to tell you it's not. But that's a very focused concept. And the binding is a very broad concept in the sense of binding someone from doing harm. It's a very, very, very broad idea. As such, we're going to have a lot of people's ideas as to what harm is and isn't, and what should or shouldn't be going into this. So we're going to have a lot of horses pulling on one carriage in many directions. I know that specific rituals and methods are being provided, and people are going to modify those. Moreover, their heart is going to be different, each person's heart, so the spell is not going to weave as a collective force the same way an egregor would, where you're empowering it, it's drawing power in from being noticed, or servitor, like servitor egregor at that point. Frankly, that's the first thing that's going to make this not the best solution I've heard of so far. Number two. These are the against. I'm going to hit the benefits. I guess I'm hitting the benefits and the against. Because like I said, it's going to get a lot of power, but it's not going to be really that well directed. The one thing it does do, from a social standpoint, is it definitely lets him know where that portion of the pagan community stands, in that enough people are talking about wanting to do this. So it does have a social ramification. Number two, the number of people that are in favor of him who don't even know what a binding is, who just know that witchcraft is evil. Okay? Now that this has went big public, unlike a regular egregore, which would have people who are in the know empowering it because they have some will towards magic, they're going to assume this posture. Oh yeah, like that, okay? And they're going to sit there and they're going to do in the name of their holy, high and mighty whatever, and pray, which is a form of magic, that Donald Trump be spared from any outside influences. Any outside influences. Like, greater powers that might want to try to redirect him if he was about to do something stupid. Any outside influences, like people that might be trying to tell him not to do something stupid. Any outside influences. I'm scared. And the reason I'm scared is because, let's say, 10,000 people, on a very, very, very high estimate, decide to do the spell. That's 10,000 focused wills. Okay? To bind him from doing harm. So it means all those other positive influences that might help him do good or avoid doing harm are going to still be in play. 100,000 people will be focusing their will to prevent any outside influences from affecting him. Any outside influences. It's a scary thought, isn't it? I mean, normally every president is subject to a lot of influences, positive flows in the universe that try to support life. And there's a really good possibility he may just get shielded from all of that now. Because a group of spell-happy pagans decided to aim their wands and, sound off like they got a pair of things. That's a hell of a situation, mystically speaking. That kind of scares me. That's number two. Number three, looking at this, not just the people that are going to be shielding him, but his own response, psychologically, because I'm sure he's aware of this. I'd be insulted if I were him, and I would probably be subconsciously motivated to do things to make things harder on the pagan community as a whole. It's not a benefit. Look, I'm not a big fan of keep it secret, keep it safe. I run my own business, the Rosequartz Labyrinth, and I'm the least in the closet person you're going to find. I'm doing this show and informing you of how magic works and the good and the bad. But I'm going to tell you that there's a time when you don't want people to know you're doing magic. Generally when you're doing it on them without their permission. Curses 101, folks. So I don't think this is the brightest of our options. I think once it became a big public thing, we dropped the ball. We really did as a community. And I think now would be a good time to issue some kind of apology and not do this tremendous amount of stupidity. But looking at it from a practical standpoint, using a mass amount of people like this isn't just President Trump. Okay? This is anyone you're doing magic on. Okay? So let's backtrack. That many people pulling in many directions generates a lot of power, but not as focused as we'd like. Major impact. But If a large number of people know about something being done like this, and a large number of them are likely to be against it, you get a polarizing force against. Number 3, if the person is aware of it, you now have other polarizing forces in their psychology in play. And the polarizing forces in number 2, number 3, okay, so I can't really do that kind of. Number 2 and number 3, a lot worse to deal with than number 1. Number 1 is, well-meaning idiots, which are destructive, but never usually that bad. So, overall, mass empowerment for a goal. Using this as an example, if you can control the flow of people so that you're mass empowering with people that you can at least kind of, sort of, hopefully, maybe trust, and you are doing this in a way that power can be directed towards a singular goal that cannot be redirected. Okay, because I'm not even getting into the number of energy vampires that are going to feed off of this, and various other people that are going to draw in the energy from it. So I guess that's number 4, right? But if you can manage that, and you can keep the target from knowing about it, mass empowerment is a very effective method. But in this case, it was handled poorly. You know it. I know it. We're better than this. I'm better than this. I don't know about everyone else out there. When I mass empower things, people generally don't know what I'm mass empowering and why. They're just directing energy, or if they do, they're people that I can trust. I'm going to post it in places where I know that it's going to get beneficial energies. So that's my take on the mass empowerment, using this spell to bind Donald Trump from all evil. I hope that it taught you something, and I hope that you find that you can learn something from situations like this, because learning is a big part of what it means to awaken the night within.